Ooh. Recording in progress.
That's good. So I have to say got it, yeah?
Yeah.
To get rid of it.
Got it. Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, we'll keep an eye out for our other participants, and I'll absolutely send out this interview to them specifically. I'll put it on our website to share with all of your friends and family and anyone in the community that you'd like to share this conversation with. So first of all, my name is Emily Kelly Joseph. I am the Special Projects Coordinator here at Wellfleet Preservation Hall. I do a lot with the visual arts programming. I'm learning a lot from our former board member, Susie Nielsen's kind of guiding me along and learning about this and integrating a lot of artists in the community to do more programming here at Wellfleet Preservation Hall. And I'm very excited to have not one, but two very talented artists with me on this conversation this evening. We have our current artist that's on display, Verena Smith, and she will be interviewed by an artist who has previously shown at Wellfleet Preservation Hall, Connie Saems. And I'm going to turn the conversation over to them, and we can open it up for a dialogue in a few minutes, but I'm going to give Verena and Connie some time just to have a conversation with each other, and we'll join them afterwards. All right, Verena, Connie, thank you so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Emily and Preservation Hall, for hosting our interview and our little chat, and how much you all give to the community to enrich the lives of so many people in Wellfleet on Cape Cod, and all of our guests that come. And I appreciate all the work that everyone does at Preservation Hall. So thank you. And I'm very excited to be sitting talking with Verena this evening. How are you, Verena?
Very well. Really happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
Good. I'm going to ask you some questions, and maybe we can just kind of get into a conversation and talk about your life, your artwork. And so why don't you tell me a little bit about who Verena is?
That's going to come in a second. Before that, I want to say how much I appreciate Emily and the Preservation Hall, because so welcoming, so kind, so supportive, and I loved it. I'm still loving it for another few days when I take it down. So who's Verena? She is now 77, and she's lived most of her life in Europe, but for the last 30 some years here in the States. And I'm obviously a war child, because born in Austria in 44, that's what I got. And lived a long time with my mom and my sister Cornelia, whom we used to call Connie. Right? Used to live just two girls and their mom, and we did that for a long time. My mom worked for IBM, and we were key children, the syndrome. You come home from school, there's nobody. And then you go back into the house, and then who knows what my sister and I did. Nobody's going to tell at this point, but we were playing quite wild, and we had a very interesting childhood, given that it was post-war Germany, and mostly a lot of people were quite grim and guilty and heavy-hearted. That's what I remember. And I lived like that until I was 16. And my mom, because as you know, Rome from Frankfurt, not so far, an hour and a half flight or something, she sent me to my Italian relatives, whom I didn't even know I had. And when I got to Italy, it was literally like the sky opened. It was blue. There were laughing people, there were markets, there was life, there was whistling, there was just all these things that I loved. And I swore then that I would not go back to Germany. And I know now that isn't true anymore.
Mm.
because things have changed. But for a child in post-war Germany, you know, like if I laughed or sang or skipped or whistled, you know, I was being looked at like, that's not how a girl behaves. It was that kind of thing. So then I moved to Italy and moved to Rome. And that was a wonderful time because, as you know, the cobblestones are full of art. You know, it's everywhere. In Rome, when you go to the old part of Rome, that's where art happens. And I lapped it up and painted. That's when I was doing my oil painting. Yeah. And then I had the urge to go to India. And so I went for 3 years. I traveled overland and I went to India twice, Nepal, Afghanistan, Pakistan. You know, I was on the trail. Connie, you know the hippie trail?
Yes, I know the hippie trail.
You know the hippie trail. Yeah. I was definitely on it, you know, going overland from Italy, Brindisi, that's the heel of Italy, all the way to Turkey and then Afghanistan, Pakistan, India.
So all of that travel must have influenced your painting. So you were painting all through that time that you were traveling, or?
Some.
Yeah.
Wasn't that easy because I only had my sleeping bag and a guitar that I carried twice to India without ever learning how to play the guitar. Literally, but I carried it because it was the piece of music I had to carry. Painting, not as much as now in retrospect. I mean, I had so many visions and so much beauty coming at me and so much poverty and, you know, everything. I mean, it was extremely colorful, as you can imagine. And I have that all. It's in here. I'll never forget it. But I didn't really paint that much.
It sounded like in your description, when you got to Rome is when you discovered painting.
Yeah.
And so was that in a salon or a class or?
No, I was married then, and we had these friends in the old part of Rome where the artists live. And they were just, the friends that we had were just incredibly inspiring, and I painted then. Yeah.
And that's when you learned Italian as well, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I babbled in Italian after the first month I hit the ground there, because it was just, you know, it was just everything I liked.
What brought you to the US? What brought you to the US?
I married a man whom I met in Italy at a Buddhist retreat. Buddhism has been something else that has been in my life for many, many years. Many years. Since my very early 20s.
So you followed him to come to the, and came to the US?
He invited me to come here. And when I wasn't so sure, he said, well, your sister Connie lives in Montreal. You get to visit your sister. And then I said, okay, I can do that. That's how the initial visit went.
And you carried the desire to do artwork with you into the US?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me how that evolved for you.
Well, I had this other passion, which was acupuncture, because, yeah, when I was married in England, I had, when my son was 2 and he's now 44, and he has that 2-year-old that I showed you at the beginning, I had an attack of sciatica. Do you know what that is?
Yes, yes, painful.
A pain in the bottom that goes down the leg.
That's very
really
painful.
Uncomfortable. And I had a hard time lifting my own baby. And I had a very hard time vacuuming. I didn't mind that. But nonetheless, I had to fix it because my body was not well. And my friends in England, at that point, I already lived in England. My friends took me to this old acupuncturist, and I sort of got up on the table haphazardly and with great difficulty. And when I came down, my pain was gone. And that's all it took for me to think, okay, now I know what I want to do with my life. And so, because I didn't have money to go to big schools, I couldn't afford that. I self-taught myself acupuncture, the points, the meridians, the organ systems, the whole philosophical backdrop of Chinese medicine. And that's when the visual art thing went to the background, because I had to use my brain so hard,
I see.
To do this by myself, and then after I studied and I did my A-levels and everything I had to do, because that was a true passion, I went to London and sat the exam to get a British acupuncture license, with like 6 people grilling me for several hours. And then I got my license.
And
then I could
Yeah.
relax.
yes,
Sorry, Connie.
there is a parallel here with your artwork as well.
Mm-hmm.
Your artwork is, a lot of the motivation seems to come from your acupuncture work and your commitment to the organization.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was a few years ago. That was an accelerating motivational thing in my heart, because I thought, I don't have that much money to give to them, but I could, in an ongoing way, support them by making my art available and for sale, and then take the money and send it to them. That was my idea.
Yeah, and to tell us who them is.
Acupuncturist Without Borders.
That's it, right. And
Yeah.
tell us
So it's
how they work.
acuwithoutborders.org.
Mhm.
That's
And
what it is.
how does that organization work then?
They came about 15 years ago and just felt and decided, the founder felt and decided, that what calms trauma is to do this NADA protocol. There used to be a doctor back at the Lincoln Hospital in New York, and he used to treat addicts with ear acupuncture only, to get them off heroin, crack, whatever. And it even went to a point where the courts in New York would mandate women who were addicted, and they had to take their babies away from them because the women were not reliable mothers anymore. They had to do a course of 10 treatments to alleviate their addiction. Mm-hmm. That was the origin of it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then we found, and still find, and I find with most of my patients, that just doing these ear points just calms the sympathetic nervous system. There's one painting in the show when you come in, and it's just of an ear.
Yes, I remember that.
And there are 5 acupuncture needles in the ear. Yes. That's my treatment for the show. So
that's great.
That is the NADA protocol, the addiction compulsion treatment. And I think I hardly ever see any patient without offering that to them.
This is a good point for me to ask you then about the title of the show being called Unpredictable. How did you choose that? Why is it called Unpredictable?
I mean, just look at my life. Every day is like a new beginning. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I have a schedule, but the day COVID happened, none of that happened, or when you think you're going to go and do such and such a thing, and then the weather says, oh, really? And
Yes.
gives you a nice downpour, or when you plan something incredible and then it gets cancelled. I mean, life is constantly unmercifully and sometimes mercifully unpredictable. It's just how it is. Do you
So
agree with that?
I do agree with it totally. So your artwork is about the concept of things being unpredictable.
Yeah, it's to have a white canvas. There's a big white canvas waiting for me.
Mhm,
I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
mhm.
I have to feel it. And sometimes I wake up or I see certain color and then this color and then another color. And then I say, and then I go for it. But I can't, it is unpredictable. I don't know. Because I'm not a realistic painter, I don't have a landscape or anything in my mind and then I'm going to go and do it. It doesn't work like that for me.
So this is a good point for us to see some of your slides, I think. Would you, how about that?
David.
We have an assistant on the slideshow.
I have a boss. He knows how to do this stuff.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue into talking about individual pieces.
Are you sharing?
Yeah.
All right. So just go down.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun.
Thank you.
That was just a strange one. That's called Gin and Tonic.
Oh, I see the line wedges there. Geometry.
Yeah, it's sort of unusual for me, but there you go. And that one, it's just a funny one because I called it Thousand Islands because it made me think of that. And I used, you were asking me, Connie, what I use for my collages. And it's mostly sandwich paper that I prepare. Like I have big stacks and a whole bag of them that I prepare in different colors. And when the muse hits me this way, then I use different colors and use medium gloss and plaster them onto whatever the backdrop is. And this painting in particular has quite the background once you rest your eyes on it and see what is beyond the, the Thousand Islands. And then this one is called God's Tears for obvious reasons. Yeah. Oh, and this one, how do I get out of the slideshow so I can see you again? Or should I just rattle through them?
Well, I'm going to ask you questions as we go through.
Okay.
This kind of looks like marbleizing.
Yeah, well, it's pouring, it is like marbleizing and pouring. But
Yeah.
this one was really inspired by Pink Floyd. That's why it's called Not Pink Floyd. Do you remember that song that they sing about the big machine and money? And it's quite a dark song.
Sing it for us.
Money. I'd rather not. But I can tell you that there is another story overlying that, or underlying that, is that Pink Floyd has always been very dear to my heart. And there is a song of Pink Floyd that is called Wish You Were Here. And it was not about a lover or a partner, but it's always been about my son. The 44-year-old with the 2-year-old.
Yes.
Because he always loved Pink Floyd and we listened to Pink Floyd and he sent it to me and I've just always loved that song.
Oh, that's
But
great.
this is not what this painting is. This had more to do, when it came out that way, I knew exactly what it was. It was the big black machine, the money machine.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
This is
amazing. Great.
winter landscape.
Hmm.
With a little, you were asking about texture, like in the lower middle, there's these corn stalks. Oh, and this one is the way out.
Yes, this was the one that I feel was such a strong sense of movement with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was a desperate sense of how do we get out of this?
It-
I mean,
was
just
this-
think about what we've been through in the last couple of years.
I was going to ask, was this done during COVID?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it was. Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on. Oh, that one, I happen to love that one. It's called We Can Live Together.
The fish and the bird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have been more extreme, and the little turtle there.
Oh, there's a turtle as well.
Yeah.
Lovely. Are you using, are you printing with this? It looks like there's a printed pattern on there.
There's all sorts of pouring, dabbing, blotting, covering,
Yeah.
overlaying, and this was some kind of corrugated something that
The bottom
I,
right. Mhm.
yeah, the whole bottom line. Oh yeah, you can't see me when I'm pointing at things.
Did you use stamps also?
No, but
The
I
yellow-
could.
The yellow looks like it may have been a stamp. The yellow.
Oh, I sometimes use a little piece like a credit card, kind of a plastic, and I
Uh-huh.
scrape along, and
I
sometimes it creates these interesting lines, and I'm happy for them.
I see. Yeah. And pouring, you're using pouring here. Yeah. Lots of translucency going on. So there's lots of depth in your
Yeah.
work, Verena. Lots of
Thank
depth.
you. I hope that's a good thing.
For me, it is. Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Oh, this was George Floyd. I don't have a logical explanation other than that I had the emotions that I had.
So your artwork represents a sense of feeling for you.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Or events even, but they don't have to be physically accurate.
Correct.
Like this, how would you even think about George Floyd? I don't know, but I feel something even now when I look at it.
Yes. I guess that's what I mean by this is about your feelings.
Yeah. So if you, Connie, had said this picture is called Pink George Floyd, then I would have said, okay. That's your process.
Uh-huh.
Next. Oh yeah. Now I have a special love for Afghanistan. And why this makes me think of Afghanistan, I can't really define. But I've had many magical moments in my life in Afghanistan, especially when I was traveling and I wasn't being noticed. Because maybe I was sitting in my hotel room and peered out of a tiny, weeny little window and watched people get up in the morning and mill around. But I was also thinking about the forbidden things. And that's why this one is called Forbidden Textures.
It's quite powerful. Tell me how you apply the disc in the middle is so strong. And then behind the waves, there's this kind of fleur-de-lis going on. It's just captivating. Tell me your process in being able to use those in your painting.
Well, some of them are stencily things, you know, objects that are little pieces of cut out plastic. But as you can see, I never use the sort of whole complete thing.
Hmm.
I just sort of visit them briefly
So
and
it's,
then leave some remnants of it.
so it's the collage. It's the
Yeah,
collage.
it's kind of like a
Yes.
collage, yeah.
Yeah.
And texture, you know, that's why this one, when you touch it, it has a textured surface.
Mhm. Well, it has a strong visual texture also.
Yeah, true,
I don't feel like I need to touch this in order to get a sense of that texture.
true.
Yeah,
Mhm. Next.
yeah.
Oh, that was California fires.
Ooh,
You know, that was light through ashes.
that's a good
Yeah,
name. Light through ashes.
yeah, yeah. Tell me next and I'll go next.
Next, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those are our mobiles. You have some at the entrance of your building.
What materials are you using in your mobile?
I'm using shells from Wellfleet Indian Neck. That big pile of stuff, that's mine.
Yes,
And,
driftwood and other things you find on the beach
uh-huh.
also there?
Yeah, driftwood, which is mostly David gathering all the pieces of wood, and then he whittles them, and mountain laurel is the kind of wood that we use mostly. And then he whittles them, and then I go and hunt for beads. There's Bob's Buddha bead store in Orleans, and I've gotten most of my beads from them, but they're not doing it so much anymore. The son has told me that he's fed up with beads. He doesn't want to sell them anymore.
Dear, oh dear. You're gonna have to ask all your friends for beads then.
I have done, yeah. And one of my patients has just made me polymer clay beads. So I have some from her.
Excellent,
Mhm.
excellent.
Yeah. And so this is where creativity and medicine sort of meet, because I went to Bob's bead store, and he was sitting, the old Bob, he was sitting at the counter like that, and he was holding out his hand to take my money. And I said, "What's happening with your neck?" And he said, "Oh, it's just totally stiff."
Oh,
And I said, "Oh, I can fix that." And he said, "What? How?" And then his wife came from behind and said, "Whatever she says, Bob, do it." Whatever she says, you do it. And I said, "Well, I think it's a 4-needle treatment. I need 4 needles. And we can do it on your plastic chair just in the doorway. It's fine. And I'm not charging you. I just can't stand seeing your neck like that." And so we went on that chair, and I put these 4 needles in, one here, 2 on the ankle. And then I twizzled them, and I said, "Now do the motion of no." And he couldn't believe it. Suddenly he
Oh,
had
lovely.
full range of motion. And
he-
that's my story about.
And he'd been stuck in that position for probably quite a while.
Yes, he had been, yeah.
Yeah,
He had a total colic.
yeah.
And so I was buying my beads to make my creative things, but then the medicine came in to fix his neck, and it was just perfect.
It is perfect. Yeah, it's how life comes together. How do you
Yeah.
know when a piece is done? A painting or some of your mobiles? How do you know?
Like when you cook and you take that teaspoon and you taste the sauce and you say, "Done."
Yes.
Don't fiddle with it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
Got
That
it.
was a good spaghetti sauce.
Sounds like dinner.
Yes.
And who has been the most influential person in your life? I'm thinking, because we're talking about artwork here, let's just focus on art.
Several women, for sure Frida Kahlo, for sure Georgia O'Keeffe. You know, they're just incredible women. They're tenacious, they're passionate,
Yeah,
they're going through hell to go where they're going, you know, and this is kind of what I like.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I
That's
like their passion.
super. And if you have a message for emerging artists, what would that be? Emerging artists are of all ages.
Really, from my heart, to not give up and to just do it. Just do it. You know, try different things. I tried watercolor, and I'm probably going to go back to watercolor again because I liked it. Practice. It's like everything else. It's like Buddhism. It's like whatever you do, learning languages, whatever you do, you just have to do it. Just do it. And it will make you happy because your creativity, to trust it.
Is there anything that you'd like to share that I haven't asked as we kind of wrap this up, before we open it up to questions?
You could ask me how I see my future.
I forgot that question. There you go. So you have a vision for your future, huh?
It's just colorful, just full
Colorful
of creativity,
Great.
just being in the present moment, just giving it my best. That's all I can say.
That's great. Thank you.
I
Thank you
won't
very
make a
much.
mistake that way.
Bravo. Super. Emily, do you want to open it up?
Absolutely. Verena, Connie, thank you for that wonderful conversation. And Verena, your slides were amazing. Well done. You did it. I want to give Jane and Lee an opportunity. If they have any questions, you're welcome to unmute yourselves and ask Verena if you'd like. If not, that's okay as well. Lee, you made it onto the computer. Lee first arrived at the hall and then she made it on her computer. So thank you for being flexible, Lee.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Hey, you unmuted for a second. Let's see. Let's ask you to unmute. You might have to do it yourself though. Whoop. Oh dear. I'm sorry. You did it and then I muted you. Try it one more time.
I can see you saying lovely things, but I can't hear them yet.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Verena, you used to be my acupuncturist in Amherst,
Oh, beautiful.
and I've gone wheat germ blonde, so that's the difference.
Well, I'm more red than I used to be. What can I
Right.
do? Happens.
And it's Buddha Bob's in Eastham.
Oh, right.
Bob's.
Not Orleans, yeah.
No, it's in Eastham. And now his daughter has taken it over.
Hmm.
And he's down in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're good
Oh.
friends. But how is your daughter?
Nima,
Yes.
she's good. She's 30. She bought herself a house
Where?
in Shirley, Massachusetts.
Where is Shirley?
Small town. And she's a fashion designer. That's what she studied. But
Okay.
she's working for Converse, the shoe company.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing the upper part of the shoes, the texture and the patterns. That's
The
what she's
color.
doing. Mhm. We'll
Oh,
see her. We'll see her for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
nice. Well, I didn't get the whole show, but I loved what I did get. It was wonderful seeing your work.
Thank you. That's nice.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're
Was
welcome.
there any painting that you liked in particular?
At the hall, it's right behind Emily. It's the circle.
Oh, the Planets of Hope. You like those? Do you know the story about them?
No,
They are long playing albums. So it could be Beethoven or Tony Bennett.
okay,
It could be Elvis Presley or the Beatles.
right.
And I closed the hole in the middle, put tape over it, then I gesso the whole thing.
To make the
And
sphere.
yeah, and then I combine my colors, and then I put like say this is the cup with the paints, and then I take the record, put it on top, and then I go let it sink for a minute, and then I go upside down, and then I wait. I don't do anything, and then slowly I lift it up, and then Mother Nature does itself. That's how they're made.
This is Jane. Thank you so much for talking about this. I think that's really wonderful. When I saw it at the hall, I was really wondering what the process was. Sorry, my picture's not up. As you know, we have such a lovely reception in Wellfleet that I either got to hear you or you got to see me. But thank you so much for going over that. I wondered how you were doing that. How clever, innovative, and creative and beautiful.
Yeah, Planets of Hope is what we need, right?
Yes.
To think about things to be better.
I was at an exhibit in Northampton where a woman also took record albums and did as
Oh,
you did. But she drilled a tiny hole at the top, and they were two-sided discs
Huh.
to hang. And they were just beautiful. They were so
Nice.
creative, and I love circles and squares.
Yeah. Yeah. You love the earth.
Yes.
Verena, can you tell me a little bit about what you're planning to do with the proceeds from selling some of your work?
I'm going to give them to Acupuncturists Without Borders. And then they will in turn, like at the moment, we are in so many different places. Haiti because of what happened, California because of anything.
What
You
happened?
think of the droughts, the fire, about Puerto Rico, people displaced by floods, the border, the Mexican border, because there's agony there, you know, people who are on hold and waiting. Israel and Palestine communities, veterans and their families, like we service most wherever we can. So the more volunteers we have, the more money we have, the more good work we can do. You know, the opioid crisis is enormous. You know, that's another place where we have to work, where we have to help people to find their own inner balance so that they can cope in another way than taking opioids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And houseless communities. Yeah. There's refugees in Greece, and there's still, you know, the refugees who have escaped from wars in Syria, you know, and they're landing somewhere where nobody wants them. I mean, this is definitely around the globe. That's a well-known feeling. Go somewhere else. We can't help you. I mean, we've pushed people back into the ocean, you know, all around the globe. So that's what this work is all about. AcuWithoutBorders.org.
Thank
Now look.
And I'll put that link up on our website so that people
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
can, yeah, of course. Absolutely.
That is really important. Thank you so much for doing that.
And my other question is, are you working on anything right now, or do you do a show and then you need a break, or how does your
No, there's that big ass canvas. It's waiting for me. I know.
Wow.
I haven't figured out yet what I'm going to do, but I will.
It'll come to you.
You know, it's just because I went to London and that was a different universe. My Umi is definitely a different universe. So I was totally absorbed in that. And now I'm back.
So,
hmm I'll continue. I have another show in Northampton.
Mhm.
Yeah. And at the Cooley Dickinson Hospital.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's
that?
going to be in January.
Okay.
Mhm.
When do you find time to do your artwork?
Um,
If you are very active.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
really active. I see my patients. I work 3 days a week.
As an acupuncturist.
Yeah, from 7 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And then I come home, have a cup of tea, you know, and then any mischief is ready. Whatever, you know, it depends how I wake up. If I wake up and I have this image of something and I think, oh, I could do that. You know, like I give you one example. If we have time, do we? It's really brief. So I listened to Mark Knopfler. Do you know who he is? Yeah, of Dire Straits. And he was in an interview with Terry Gross. And he was talking about his album called The Road to Nowhere. And he was just talking, and then he was playing a song, and then he was talking some more. And suddenly I said, I can paint that. I don't know why. We were in the car, David and I, you know, and I said, I can paint that. And then you have 2 of the roads to nowhere in the show, you know, because I did paint them. That's how it happens. You know, it depends how I wake up and what I think about and what I dream about, or could be a dream. I don't know. Unpredictability.
Mhm.
Sensing a theme here. Does anyone have any other questions for Verena this evening?
No, it was just wonderful to see you and listen to you.
Thank
thank you so very much. Thank you.
It's really nice. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all for being here. I did record this, so I can send it out to you and we can share it with anyone in our community that you think would like to come see this work. Verena's show will be on display until next week. We are closed on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving, but you can come on in tomorrow, which is Tuesday or Wednesday from 10 till 4 and come see the work. And I just want to say thank you so much to Connie for doing all the interviewing.
Yes, Connie, thank you.
That's fantastic.
My pleasure.
And for Verena for taking the time to be here and tell us about her process. It really gives us a better story and a fuller picture of all the work, and it's really meaningful. And Jane and Lee, thank you for supporting our talk. This is wonderful to have people from the community here.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
All right, everyone, have a lovely evening and a wonderful holiday, however you choose to celebrate and think about this week. And I hope that you have a nice time.
Yeah,
Move
we'll
on.
be grateful. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, be well, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.